So now let's draft the short pants pattern. So before we draft the short pants, we're going to be using this fabric to sew our shorts and the elastic band. So the elastic is 1 inch, as you can see. Then I'm also going to be using a matching thread. So it's important that you use a thread that suits with the fabric. So the fabric has got some white and blue. I'm going to settle for white. It's okay to settle for blue as well. So just make sure you study the kind of colors that are in your fabric, then choose one thread that is going to match. Then I'm also going to be using my pinking shears and my ordinary scissors and some rulers, some straight rulers and French curve rulers. And finally, we'll be using this pattern drafting paper to make the pattern. And I'll also be using some markers and a tailor's chalk. So this is the tailor's chalk I'm going to be working with to mark on the fabric, and my marker to mark on my pattern drafting paper. So now let's start drafting and making the short pants. So the first thing you have to do is measure the length of your elastic. So this is the pattern drafting paper where we'll be putting the measurements. Whatever your elastic is, multiply it by 2. So this is 1 inch. I'll multiply it by 2. I'll have 2 inches, and then I'll add an extra half an inch for sewing. So whatever measurement you have, multiply it by 2, then add an extra half an inch for seam allowance. If you found your elastic waistband to be 2 inches, multiply 2 by 2, then add an extra half an inch, then therefore you'll mark 4.5. So this is for the elastic folding. I'll show you later on what I mean. So next you need to find your waist to hip measurement. We're going to take that measurement on the mannequin. Go on your body and measure your waist to hip measurement. So this is the waist to hip measurement I'm showing you, which is 7 inches. I'll go back to my pattern drafting paper and mark waist to hip of 7 inches, like you can see me do. So I just used my mannequin's measurements. You can go ahead to use your actual body measurements by placing the measuring tape from your waist down to the hip. Then draw a horizontal straight line, like you can see me do. So now let's move on to our next body measurement, which is the hip circumference measurement. Remember, we first took the waist to hip vertical measurement, and right there on the 7 waist to hip, you're going to take your hip circumference measurement. So everything I'm doing on this mannequin, you can go ahead and do it on yourself or the person you're sewing the shorts for. So my hip circumference is 30 inches, as you can see. So after taking that 30 inches, let's go back to our pattern drafting paper and do a little math, a little calculation. So the hip circumference calculation was taken as 30 inches. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide that 30 inches by 4. So whatever you measure on your body, you have to divide it by 4 as well. So I found 7.5 inches. Then I'm going to add an extra 5 inches to this 7.5 inches for ease and seam allowance. Remember, this is a loose fitted short. It's a comfortable short. It's not a tight fitted short. It's very comfortable. So you need to add some ease, very important. And the ease plus seam allowance I'm going to add is 5 inches. And therefore we're going to have 7.5 plus 5 is going to be 12.5 inches. And I repeat, this is not a loose, it's not a tight short, it's a loose fitted shorts. So that's 12.5 inches. We're going to mark it over here on the hip line. I'm just going to mark it over here, 12.5 inches. So after marking the 12.5 inches, we're going to go on to calculate the crotch length. So what we're going to do is do a little math. The 12.5 inches, we're going to further divide it by 4. So we're going to have 3.125, but I'm only going to use the 3. So we're going to go down by 3. So remember, we're finding the crotch depth length. Another way of finding the crotch depth is placing the measuring tape from your high waist down to the seat. You can sit on a flat surface, then place the measuring tape from your waist to the seat. But remember, this is a loose fitted shorts, so the crotch that I've calculated is for a comfortable loose fitted shorts. So you can go ahead and do the same thing that I just did. So I have marked my 3 for my crotch, as you can see, for my crotch depth. So I'm just going to connect the points and draw a horizontal line, as you can see me do. Then the next thing I'm going to do is label this as my crotch. And then this as my hip. And finally my waist at the top. So remember, on the hip circumference, we already marked our 12.5 inches. The same 12.5 will be marked on the waist and crotch. So let me just take you back to how we calculated the 12.5 inches. Remember, we found the waist to hip, which was 7 inches. Then later on found the hip circumference, which gave us 30 inches. So that 30 inches, we further divided it. That hip circumference, 30 inches, we further divided it by 4. Then added an extra of is 5 inches. Because this is the loose fitted shorts, I said we need to add extra is for it. So that is where I'm just taking you back to where this 12.5 came from. So after we calculated our hip circumference of 30, we further divided it by 4 and it gave us 7.5. Then we added 5 for ease and seam allowance. So this is just a recap of where the 12.5 inches came from. So now let's get back to the drafting. So this is the 12.5 inches on the hip. I'm going to mark it on the waist as well, and as also on the crotch line as well. So let's just do that. Then I'll draw a straight vertical line connecting the crotch, hip and waistline, as you can see me do. The next, we need to calculate our crotch extension. So the same 12.5 inches we have here, I'll further divide it by 4 and it gave me 3. So this is going to be my crotch extension. So I'm going to extend it over here. I'll mark it over here as my crotch extension. Then next we need to curve this crotch and connect it to the vertical straight line. You can use a French curve ruler if you want, or you can use a free hand. So if you're using a free hand, at this point here, you can go up by either 1 inch or 1.5 inch. Then curve and shape your crotch extension. So you can just connect that hip line down to this 1 inch or 1.5 inch, then make a curve like I have done it over here. So that is the crotch curve, as you can see. Then finally we need to find the last measurement, which is the waist to full length of the shorts. So you have to go to your body or your mannequin and place the measuring tape from the waist down to the desired full length. If you want your short to be above your knees, you can mark it over there. If you want it to be below your knees, you can go down to the knees. But I want this to be a short above the knees, so I'm just going to mark slightly above the knees. Then I'm going to mark from the waist on the pattern drafting paper and mark the same measurement that I took. So you have to do the same as well. Then after marking that measurement, you need to add 2 inches for hemming. It's very, very important because this shorts is going to be hemmed later on. So I'm just going to add the extra 2 inches for hemming, as you can see, 2 inches for hemming. Then I'm going to draw a horizontal straight line, as you can see me do. Then after drawing the horizontal straight line, I'm going to connect the crotch extension down to the full length of the shorts. And we finally have finished drafting our shorts pattern. So after connecting it down to the full length of the shorts, I'm just going to get my pair of scissors and I'm going to cut my shorts pattern out. So in my next lesson, you're going to learn how to lay your patterns on the fabric, and also you're going to learn how to sew your shorts with very easy steps. So this is just the beginning. Let's get into business in our next lessons, where you're going to learn how to sew your shorts beautifully. In this course, you're going to learn how to sew your shorts and also how to make your pattern from scratch. I'm going to show you how to take accurate body measurements for shorts, pattern drafting and sewing. You're going to learn how to lay and cut your patterns on the fabric with very easy steps. This is a very beginner-friendly sewing tutorial that will help you advance your shorts sewing techniques. I'm going to show you everything from start to finish. Whether you've sewn a shorts before or not, this is a tutorial for you. You're going to learn how to sew neatly in a straight line, and also how to finish your shorts and how to insert the elastic in your shorts with very easy techniques. You're also going to learn how to neatly press your seams open for professional look. You're going to learn this and many more in this shorts sewing tutorial for beginners. See you in class. My name is Angela and I'm your instructor for the course. So now let's lay and cut the pattern pieces onto the fabric. So I have the short pattern drafted, and this is the fabric that we're going to be using. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut 2 front pieces and 2 back pieces. Remember, the short has 2 front pieces and 2 back pieces. So I'll start with 2 front pieces. I'll fold my fabric, as you can see, because I want to cut 2 front pieces at once. The fabric is on fold. I'll place my pattern on top of the fabric that is on fold. Then I'm going to pin the pattern to the folded fabric. So I repeat, the fabric is folded because I want to cut 2 front pieces at once and 2 back pieces later on. So I'm going to trace around the short pattern, as you can see. Then I'm going to remove the pins. It's very important to remove the pins. Then I'm going to cut out the 2 front pieces. I'm just going to get my pair of scissors and start cutting out the pieces, as you can see. So remember, this fabric was on fold. So I'm going to pin again so that the fabric pieces don't misalign. I'm going to start pinning my fabric together. I've already traced, but I need to pin the 2 as I'm cutting. It's very helpful and important to pin the 2 pieces of fabric together. So I'm going to trim off this side along the marks So I was using a faint mark. You guys can't clearly see, but just do what I did. Place the pattern on top of the fabric, then trace and cut out. Make sure you're using a marker that is easily visible. So in case you don't have a marking tool, I'll show you next how to do it when cutting the two back pieces. So let's first cut the two front pieces. Then when cutting the two back pieces, I'll show you a technique that you can use without tracing out the pattern. So here we have our two front pieces, as you can see, one for the left side and one for the right side, the front right side and the front left side too. So now let's cut out the two back pieces, and so let's pin the pattern like we did with the front pieces. So we want to cut two back pieces. Just pin the pattern, then trace around like you can see me do. Then we're going to cut out. So for this method, you don't have to remove your pattern. Just cut together with the pattern. So this way, remember I said I'll show you how to do it even without tracing. Using this method, you may not even need to trace out. Just pin the pattern onto the fabric, then start cutting it out right away without any tracing. But if you want to trace, you can go ahead and trace. But the point I'm trying to raise is even without tracing, you can just pin the pattern onto the fabric and directly cut the pattern out. And that way you're going to have two pieces for the back. Remember, we already have two front pieces. So now we're cutting out two back pieces of the shorts. So here we have two back pieces for the shorts and two front pieces for the shorts, making it four pieces, two for the front and two for the back. So this is what you're supposed to have as well. So now let's sew the front and back crotch pieces together. So I have my two front pieces. I'll place them on top of each other. Then I'm going to get my pins and pin these together. So it's always important to pin. Then I'll take this to the sewing machine and run a straight stitch. So after running a straight stitch, I'll remove the pins. This is a safety feature. Then this is what we have. I'm just going to open. This is the right sides, and on the wrong sides, I'm just going to press the seams open with a hot steam iron. So it's always important to press the seams open. It always gives a professional look. So after pressing the seams open, I'm going to sew the other pieces as well. Remember, we have the two front pieces and two back pieces. I'm going to get my other remaining pieces and I'm going to pin them the same thing we did to this one. I'm pressing. I'm going to pin them together, as you can see. These are the two pieces. Then I'm going to run a straight stitch and I'll give it a good press as well. So now let's sew the two sides of the short pants. As you can see, we've already stitched two front pieces and two back pieces together and pressed the seams open. So I'm just going to turn this right to the right sides. Then I'll get the other piece and place it on top of this piece. So we need to have two pieces, two front pieces joined together, as you can see, and two back pieces have been joined together, as you can see, and I've pressed them. So I'm going to get the other piece and place it on top of the other one, right sides facing each other, as you can see. Then we're going to have something like this. As you can see, both of them have been pressed and they look very neat. So this is the right sides. I'll make sure the right sides of the back is facing the right sides of the front piece, like I have done. Then we're going to go ahead to sew the sides. We're going to start by joining the two sides, the left and right sides. This side I'll stitch and this other side. So I'm going to get my pins. It's always important to pin the two pieces together so that they don't misalign. So I'm going to align them properly. Then I'm going to put my pins and leave a seam allowance for stitching. So always pin the two pieces together. So let's just pin, then we'll go to the sewing machine. So now let's take this to the sewing machine and run a straight stitch. Always remember to do a reverse stitch once you start sewing. It helps to keep the seams stronger. So reverse stitch always important. Then you're going to keep running your straight stitch on this side and on the other side. So we're going to move to the other side of the shorts and do the same thing that we did on the other side. So let's get sewing. So now let's press the seams open and finish the raw edges. As you can see, we have just finished sewing the sides of the shorts. The next thing you need to do is get your hot steam iron, open the seams and press open. It's always important to press the seams open because it helps to give a professional look, a professional finished looking like a store-bought garment. Once you stitch or sew without pressing, your final product will not look so professional. So always make sure that you press your seams open, and that way all your products or your garments, whatever you sew, is going to look like it's store-bought, like it's just from an expensive store. So make sure you press your seams open. So the next thing you need to do is finish the raw edges of the shorts. You can use a pinking shears, just trim off. As you can see, this is a zigzag scissors. It helps to prevent fraying. If you have a serger and overlocking machine, you can finish your raw edges by taking this to the serger or overlocking machine. If you have a zigzag machine, you can just finish with a zigzag sewing machine. If you want to use other seam finishes like the French seam or other seam finishes, whatever seam finish you prefer, you can use them here. But this is a beginner sewing course, so I'm just going to go with pinking shears because I think it's the easiest way of finishing seams and preventing fraying. So we have just finished sewing the two sides of the shorts, and next we need to sew the inseam between here. So I'm just going to run a straight stitch. As you can see, this is where we need to stitch. I'm going to get my pins and pin, then run a straight stitch. So it's very important to pin as you stitch, especially if you're a beginner. Pinning will help to keep your two pieces of fabric together. So I'm just going to get my pins and pin the two pieces of fabric together as you can see me do. So I'm just going to take this to the sewing machine and I'll run a straight stitch. So with my two pieces of fabric pinned together, I'm just going to run a straight stitch as you can see me do. Then after sewing, I'll remove the pins. It's very important to remove the pins. It's a safety feature. The next, I'm just going to press the seams open with my hot pressing iron. Then after pressing, you need to finish the raw edges. You can use a pinking shears to trim off the raw edges, or you can use a serger, an overlocker, or any form of seam finish that you are comfortable with. So I'm just going to put my iron down and get my pinking shears to finish the raw edges. As you can see, the threads are coming out. This fabric easily frays. Then I'm going to finish the raw edges with my pinking shears, as you can see me do. So now let's fold and hem the shorts. As you can see, our shorts is shaping up now. So what you have to do is hem the legs, the two legs, and also the top part for the waistband. So let's start with the legs. But first, remove off the excess fraying. As you can see, there's a bit of loose threads coming out. So you just have to remove those frays. Then you're going to fold 2 times, then press, and then you're going to stitch. So I'm just going to get my hot press iron, my steam iron, as you can see. Then I'm going to fold 2 times at the legs on each leg, and this has to be even. But if you have any frays, little threads coming out, just make sure you remove them like I did. So you're going to fold about 1 inch and press. That will be the first fold. Just measure 1 inch, then you press with your hot steam iron. So I'm just going to do the pressing all around, as you can see me do. Then you're going to give a second fold inside about 1/4 or half an inch inside inwards, as you can see me do. This is what you're supposed to fold. You can just fold half an inch or 1/4 of an inch inwards, then just fold it inside. So the first fold was 1 inch, then the second fold you can choose between half an inch or even 1/4 of an inch. It's okay. All you have to do is be consistent. If you choose half an inch, do the same even on the other leg. If you choose 1/4 of an inch, do the same even on the other side of the shorts. So you're going to go to the other side of the short leg and you do the same thing that you're just from doing. So just trim off the excess trims, the threads that are coming out, the fraying threads. Then you're going to basically do the same thing we just did on the other side. Fold your first fold, press, then do the second fold. Then after you finish folding and pressing the 2 sides, you're going to take it to the sewing machine and run a straight stitch on both sides. So I'm just going to take it to the sewing machine and run a straight stitch. So now that we've finished sewing this side, you're going to go on the other side of the short leg, then you're going to run a straight stitch as well, just like you did on the other side. So this is how you easily sew the short legs. So we'll move on into our next lesson where we'll be inserting the elastic in the shorts and hemming the waist top. So now let's insert the elastic in the shorts. So this is where we're going to be inserting the elastic. So I have my elastic and the width is 1 inch. It's about 1 inch as you can see. And I'm going to fold and hem the part of the waist where we'll be inserting the elastic. So remember we have 2.5 inches here. So I'm just going to fold it down and press, give it a good press. So I'm just going to fold and press. So at this point I'm going to measure 1 inch and fold again, then I'm going to press. Then after folding, I'm going to stitch, but I'm going to leave about 2 inches open. I'm going to stitch all around, but 2 inches will be left open. This will help us to insert the elastic inside. So make sure you leave about 2 inches opening. Just take the rest to the sewing machine, run a stitch, but leave about 2 inches opening for inserting the elastic. Make sure you don't forget to leave the 2 inches opening after stitching all around. So remember the 2 inches opening. You just have to measure again and leave that opening. Make sure you don't forget that opening as you stitch around. So you can do a back stitch, then leave a 2-inch opening, and that's it. So this is what we have after stitching around. And remember there's a 2 inches opening where you need to insert your elastic. So this is the elastic, and the length of the elastic is 24 inches. So remember the elastic length should be less than your actual waist length. So I'm going to be using this safety pin, and this safety pin will help me to insert the elastic into the waist. So I'm just going to put the safety pin in the elastic as you can see me do. This is what you have to do. Then take that to the shorts on the 2 inches opening right over here, then start inserting the elastic. So I repeat, the length of your elastic should always be less than your actual waist length. So I'm just going to insert the safety pin in the 2 inches opening. Remember we left about 2 inches opening for inserting the elastic, and this is what you're supposed to do. Just keep pushing that safety pin gently and keep doing it until you reach the far end. So I'm just going to do that until we reach the final end. So after I'm reaching the end, I'm going to stitch the two together, the two elastics. You can either use your sewing machine. You can remove the safety pin, then take it to the sewing machine and stitch on it, especially if your sewing machine has a zigzag feature. The zigzag feature is going to be very ideal. If you don't want to use your sewing machine or you don't have the zigzag stitch, you can use your hand sewing needle and thread. It works perfect as well. And the hand sewing needle actually makes the stitches even stronger, I guess. So I'm just going to get my hand sewing needle, then I'm going to thread my needle and I'll run the stitch on my elastic, on my two elastics. So I'm just going to tie the two and start stitching, as you can see. So I'm using the back stitch. You have to start then back. The back stitch is the strongest hand, one of the strongest hand stitches that are there that I know. So you have to go forward, then do the back stitch like I am doing. And once you're done, you can just trim off the excess elastic. I'm going to show you how to do just that, but for now let's keep doing the back stitch until we're done. So I'm just going to get the pair of scissors. This is a zigzag stitch. I'm going to trim off the excess elastic, as you can see me do. Then after doing that, I'm going to sew this part as well to make it neat and just look more presentable. I know it's going to be inside, but sewing it will also make it a bit durable. So I'm just going to stitch that down, as you can see me do. Then I'll just trim off the excess thread and I'll push and pull the elastic inside the shorts. So I'm just going to do this, just continue pushing this excess inside the shorts, so you can just drag it in by pulling. Is it pulling and pushing? Yes, pulling it inside, like something like that, like I am doing. It will gradually get inside once you just do that. And once it's in this opening, you need to sew the opening. You can either sew it by hand neatly or take it to the sewing machine. Remember, we have this 2 inches opening. You can either sew it by hand or take it to the sewing machine. So you just have to give a neat stitch finish over there. Then once you're done, you can give it your shorts a good press just to look more presentable. You can get your hot steam iron and just give it a final press, a final touch, as you can see me do. Then once you're done, then that's it. You just finished making your own shorts with an elastic waistband. And there I have our beautiful shorts.